Hello everybody, Herbie here from Herbie's Instruments. Today's episode is about resawing. I've had questions from friends and family about how do I get started? Where do you find the wood? What do you do? So today I want to show you how I cut and resaw a back for a dreadnought, or a back for any guitar for that matter, because you could cut it down to a smaller size. But the overall size that I need 8.5 high. This is the highest my bandsaw will go, and 24 long. I like to get a piece of wood 24. A side note about this bandsaw. This bandsaw is a 1938 Oliver bandsaw. It's been around for a long time. It still goes. It's a little cantankerous, but it does cut wood. But this is a piece of northern white ash. Comes from Pennsylvania, northeast corner. I had cut this tree down 40 years ago. I didn't personally cut it down. I had it cut down by a sawyer who has a mill up in Pennsylvania, and I needed wood for cabinetry. And the wood that I've been making my guitars from are the leftovers from the cabinetry from 40 years ago. It's been on the rack for 40 years. It's been air dried, never been cooked, and it's crystallized and stable. And that's what I like using. This is different ash than I had a comment in my last video about swamp ash. Swamp ash is what the Fenders used for their solid bodies. It's much lighter than this because the wood grows underwater, and or anything in a very wet, swampy area. And it's still an ash tree, but the way it grows open pored, lighter, and they like using that for that. But I particularly like using the harder ash for an acoustic guitar because it's denser, it rings a little better for me, and it's not soft. You want to get a little harder for the back and sides. So I've always gravitated to ash, and I've always enjoyed ash. So the first thing I do is I go over to the rack, as I already did, and I have to cut a piece, and then I have to get a flat side on it, or a relatively flat side. I ran it through the joiner, and it only takes a second to run it through the joiner. And then, I also cut this down to 8.5, and on the table saw, and trimmed it. The leftover, which I have here, I will use for sides for a dulcimer. And so I try to use all the good wood that I have and try to make things out of it. But this stuff is old and very dry, so it's kind of precious to me to have wood this old to work with. The long and short of it is that I set my bandsaw blade at about 1/4 inch, a little less than 1/4 inch, or thereabouts. And this is a piece of 5/4, which is 1.1 inch, and thereabouts. And I will sometimes it varies. That's why you got to get a flat side on it. But my hope is to get 2 backs out of this. I'll spare you the time of cutting 4 backs, but I'm going to show you what I do and how it's cut, and then I'll show you the results with some other pieces that I have already done. So without further ado, let me put my mask on and turn this old Bertha on and show you what I do. Well, after some fighting with the old girl here, this is what we end up with. nice backs and sides, if we're, depending upon what we're cutting. And we end up with a nice pattern, a book match pattern. Once I do that, I will sand these in my sander to about 1/8 of an inch, thereabouts, and then glue them together. And then, after gluing them together, I run them through the sander to about 95 thousandths of an inch for the back. And this is a ready to go back. And that's what will be on the back of that guitar. And that's how we begin. That's how I begin. And you can do this to any kind of wood you want. The beauty of making guitars is there's a lot of different types of wood to use. I fancy this. I like walnut. This meaning ash. I like walnut. I like sapelli mahogany, and maple, curly maple, fire maple. A lot of North American wood. I've even used hickory as fretboards, and very interesting blonde-looking fretboard. But that's where we're at today. Thank you very much for coming and watching this episode. As always, I appreciate it. And if you would, please subscribe and hit that like bell if you liked it. And with that, I'll say goodbye, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.